Call this committee of the whole for January 7th, 2025 to order. Madam Clerk, will you please call the roll?
Alderman Barrero.
Here.
Alderwoman Garza.
Here.
Alderman Masiacos.
Present.
Alderman Donnell. Alderman Franco.
Here.
Alderman Seville.
Here.
Alderman Tolliver.
Here.
Alderwoman Smith.
Here.
Alderman Bug.
Here.
Alderwoman Bade.
Here.
Alderman Lash.
Present.
Alderman Warman.
Here.
And Mayor Irvin's present.
I want to start this agenda off first by saying Happy New Year to everyone. A New Year 2025, and look forward to a great year with all of our residents of Aurora. Can I have an approval of the minutes for Tuesday, December 17, 2024? Motion made by Alderman Smith, second by Alderman Franco. All in favor?
Aye.
Motion carries by voice vote. Mr. Muhammad, can you give the mayor's report, please?
Yes, sir. Good evening, Mayor. Good evening, City Council. Again, Happy New Year to everyone. We're looking forward to an exciting January and certainly the year ahead. January is filled with so many activities and announcements and special recognitions, from New Year's Day to Epiphany, which was yesterday. We celebrated Three Kings with La Quinta and Claudia and Jesus over there. 1,000+ kids getting toys. Big round of applause. Congrats, Claudia. Great. We'll celebrate Epiphany and Theophany with the Orthodox churches on Saturday at the Blessing of the River at 11 a.m. downtown at the River Edge Park pedestrian bridge. We'll celebrate MLK Day this month on the 20th. And January is also National Mentoring Month. So a lot of great things happening here that we're going to have a great time here at the city. It's also Dry January. Let's take a quick look.
All right. Did you decide that at 12:01 that you were done with the booze for the month of January? Because Dry January might be actually good for you even after January. A new study claims that those who took part in Dry January reap benefits for at least 6 months afterwards. Those benefits include better sleep, more energy, and even improvements in smell and taste. There's even some evidence it helps your skin and your hair. Now, to be fair, it's hard for some people not to go an entire 31 days without consuming an alcoholic beverage.
Very tricky.
Yeah.
So for the first time this year, the City of Aurora, in partnership with many of our community organizations, participated in Dry January, led by the Aurora Regional Economic Alliance, the area group. Dry January is a health and wellness initiative where participants voluntarily abstain from alcohol for the entire month of January. It originated in the UK in 2013. Spearheaded by Alcohol Change UK, and has since gained global popularity, particularly here in the United States, from Meharry Medical College. It's an HBCU, a historically black college and university in Nashville, Tennessee, that's taken the American, the USA arm of this and just really built up on it. So here in America, not only does Meharry lead the charge with Dry January, they lead the charge so much with health benefits, and we're so honored today to have two students with us here all the way from Nashville. They jumped on a flight this morning to join us today. We can give a round of applause for Semita and Zulia. Please stand, ladies. Thank you so much. We're so excited that they're here. Yellow is often associated with Dry January because it symbolizes positivity, energy, and renewal. And so you'll see these signs that say Aurora is going yellow. We're going to light the pedestrian bridge yellow and just focus on all things yellow during this next month and this period of time. We have representatives here from Meharry with us tonight. Also in Chicago tonight, Chicago goes yellow tonight. Meharry Medical College is out there with the leaders of Chicago tonight, and they'll be here with us tomorrow. And so tonight, for the first time, we invite the mayor down to issue our Dry January proclamation, which is supported again by the Aurora Regional Economic Alliance. And so many of those members are here, as well as downtown business owners. Again, we recognize earlier Claudia Urrutia from La Quinta, who's participated even as a bar owner, and the importance of allowing people to have options. You want to have options, you want to have a mocktail, certainly it's not taking away anything from our local businesses, only adding more options for people to join. There's going to be a great story tonight on ABC 7 as they came out and focused on craft urban and what we're doing here in the city of Aurora. So we're going to invite our students from Meharry Medical College down, Semita and Zulia. We're going to invite all the folks from the Aurora Regional Economic Alliance. Come on down, everybody. Let's give them all a round of applause as they make their way down. Come on down, Claudia. Stand on both sides of the mayor. We'll ask Mayor Irvin to read the proclamation, then we'll be followed with some information from Samita Ravi.
Well, it's not only my honor to read this proclamation, it's my honor to support by having my pocket square that represents yellow here for
Good stuff.
dry January. This proclamation is for dry January month, January 2025. Whereas the health and well-being of our community are of paramount importance, and encouraging health, lifestyles, choices is shared responsibility for all of us. And whereas excessive alcohol consumption is associated with various health risks, including liver disease, heart disease, and mental health challenges. And whereas Dry January USA has grown from 4,000 participants to millions worldwide. And under Meharry Medical College's stewardship has become a transformative movement promoting mindful drinking habits, health equity, and public health education. And whereas participating in Dry January provides an opportunity for individuals to reset their habits, experience improved physical and mental health, and foster greater self-awareness and mindfulness. And whereas Dry January USA has embraced yellow as its official color, symbolizing hope, positivity, and personal growth. And Aurora will light its downtown River Edge Park pedestrian bridge yellow from January 7th through January 13th, 2025. And whereas this initiative has been shown to have lasting positive effects, with participants often reporting reduced alcohol consumption and better health outcomes long after January. Now therefore I, Mayor Richard C. Irvin, do hereby proclaim January as Dry January in Aurora, and I encourage all residents to consider participating in this mindful and health-conscious challenge.
Big round of applause. And again here from Meharry Medical College, she's a second-year med student, really leading the charge on campus. Please welcome Samita Ravi.
Hi guys, my name is Samita Ravi. I'm a second-year medical student at Meharry Medical College. Thank you so much for such a warm welcome to Aurora. This is my first time here and it's been such a cool experience. So Dry January USA is at Meharry Medical College. We are an HBCU. We are focused on serving the underserved. That includes people who are thinking about their relationship with alcohol. As we know, a lot of people want to consider alcohol depending, like, as part of their lives, for example, culturally, socially. It's a big part of what we do. But sometimes, we want to think about the relationship and reflect on the pros and cons of it. So that's why we have Dry January. So Dry January is something you can do for 30 days. But what we like to say as part of Dry January USA is that we're always with you all year round. So even if you don't do it for 30 days, consider January 7th to be a day of reflection and maybe a day, you abstain from alcohol and see how that affects your lifestyle. What's cool about Aurora lighting up is obviously one of the colors of an Aurora is yellow, and when you look up, and you see Aurora for the first time, it represents renewal, reflection, optimism, and that's actually why we chose the color yellow. So when you wear the color yellow this month and you think about the color yellow, think about Dry January, think about your relationship with alcohol, and thank you so much for inviting us today. And also we have a Instagram page. It's dryjanuary_USA. There you can find some information on making mocktails and more about Meharry Medical College and some of the events we're having, so you can share with your social groups. We also have a website, dryjanuaryusa.org, and there you can find some news releases about us. We do blog posts. For example, one of my favorite blog posts that I wrote was, Dry January is like going to the gym. You may not really like going to the gym at first, but once you're really consistent, you feel really great and you just want to keep going and doing it. And that's kind of what abstaining from alcohol is like for some people. And I know it's not easy for people to abstain from alcohol, and that's okay. That's why we're here. We're here not to say, completely stop. It's a gradual process, and we respect that. So that's why we're there, and that's why we provide these resources for you. We also have a Try Dry app, and I highly recommend downloading it. It is very user-friendly. They send you updates every day to see how you're doing. It's kind of like playing a video game. You kind of see where you're at. And then by the end of the month, you can see, any changes that have happened, and you can record that using the app. And if you ever have any suggestions, comments, if you ever want to collaborate with us, We have the information on dryjanuaryusa.org. And thank you so much, guys. This has been a really great experience for me and my classmate. We really appreciate you guys.
Big round of applause for the future Dr. Samita Ravi there. We're so proud of you. Thank you so much, everyone. We look forward to celebrating with you. And Samita literally has to get on a train to Chicago as they're there with the Cook County Board President, Tony Preckwinkle, and their reception tonight in Chicago. So thank you so much. January is also a time not only to focus on health, but to look back at our finances and to see where we are and where we're going. In September 2020, the City of Aurora awarded a contract to FH Passion for a cooperative job order contracting services program. With this program in place, the city earns a fee associated with every task order that is completed. Last year, this time, we did a check presentation for the aggregate amount to that date. Tonight, we're joined again by leaders of FH Passion to present an updated check with the aggregate amount. Leo Wright, Senior Vice President of Passion, and a nearly 30-year resident of the 10th Ward of Aurora, is here today to present a check with the total amount. We'll let him speak, and then we'll unveil the check.
Okay, so in the 4 years that we've been doing this program with the City of Aurora, Aurora has earned $543,698 in fees that went back to the city, as opposed to the City of Aurora paying some out-of-state co-op to use a similar program. So, you know, with that being said, there was 261 task orders, over $17 million conducted, with the average size job only being $65,000. You know, and other towns that are using the program include East Aurora School District, Oswego School District, the Village of Mundelein, Will County, Downers Grove Park District, City of Geneva, Fox Valley Park District. So to close out the existing contract and start the new, you know, we're going to present this check, and with that being said, we already have over $2.5 million in the pipeline with new jobs that are going to go on the new contract and start it all over again. So I'd like to thank you, Mayor, and the board for allowing us to be your contractor.
A grand total of $543,698. We're going to ask our Chief Financial Officer to please join the mayor and Leo as well as we present this check, as we reflect on last year and the aggregate amount that's been earned through the JOC program. Again, another round of applause for FH Passion. Downtown Aurora business.
All you, Chris.
All
Put that in the bank for us, brother.
Thank you. Mayor, we'll give you time to take a rest for now. And speaking of, I'm going to bring up Alex Voigt. Speaking of money in pockets, we have opportunities for our community members to earn money as well as we embark upon Census 2025. I'll turn it over to the Deputy Chief of Staff, Alex Voigt, to share more.
Thank you, Clayton. Good afternoon, City Council. At each of your places tonight, we've left some of the materials that we have. One of them is a now hiring brochure, again with all of the information, and just a friendly reminder that we are asking each alderperson to come up with 10 individuals to apply to work for the Census Bureau to help us conduct our special census. The 2 aldermen at large generously volunteered to get 15 each, so thank you both for that. And we also have at your place a brochure with just general information about the census. This has the dates in there that the mailers will be going out, the postcards. So if you are interested in having any of this information for any of your neighborhood meetings, if you have areas in your wards that you'd like us to hang up posters, we absolutely would love to do that. We've hosted one job fair. We have another one tomorrow at the Aurora Public Library. And on January 17th at the Arm Center, St. Rita Catholic Church on Sunday, January 19th, and at the Financial Empowerment Center on Wednesday, January 22nd, and St. Therese Catholic Church on Saturday, January 25th. If you're interested in hosting a job fair, attending a job fair, please reach out to our office and we'd be happy to work with you, but we appreciate your support as we gear up for the special census. Thank you.
Thank you. The Yeoman's task, they're handling a great job, and thank you to all the city council members for all your social media shares. You know, we definitely are are watching you and following you, and your shares are making a world of difference in getting the word out to everybody in the community. A community that we all love and cherish tremendously, and we want to see the best for our beloved Aurora. Which brings us to our final part of the first presentations. Speaking of someone who loved Aurora, embodied Aurora, synonymous with Aurora. For Aurora's heart, a spirit soared, a life so cherished and deeply adored, her family's love, her pride, her grace, forever etched in time and space. Dee's light endures, her story flows, in every heart her spirit grows. Through family, heritage, and community ties, her soul forever graces our skies. As we started this year, we lost our beloved Dee Basille and laid her to rest yesterday with her beloved family and friends and an entire community who certainly mourns in this great loss of such an amazing woman. I don't believe there's a person in this room, probably in Aurora, that hasn't been directly impacted or indirectly impacted by the work of Dee Basille. And we will forever cherish her smile, her random dances at events, and just that beautiful spirit that she embodied. So tonight, we turn it over to the Aurora City Council to share reflections. Send an email, about a minute each if you like. And then we'll ask the mayor, after his reflections, to join us down for a special proclamation with her family. And we'll just go in order if you like to take a minute to reflect. And again, her family's here, beloved Peter, daughters, brother, just the entire team here. We'll start with Alderman Barrera.
Well, just want to say that I had the privilege to attend some ceremonies on Dee's behalf and spend some time looking at the pictures, and I was just taken back. I never seen a lot of those. I've seen a couple, but not all. The younger Dee. I met Dee when she started working at the city of Aurora, and she was in economic development, and I had the opportunity to have her work alongside me as my assistant in community services, and I got to know her a lot better then. And she made it an experience that I cherish. And every day she would play music and she would sing along and dance along, and she really liked the Rat Pack, And some of these songs would she would play them 2-3 times a day, so I can still hear them in my head. Also, it was a special time there at the Fred Rogers Community Center because it was formerly the Madonna High School, and Dee was a graduate there in '68. I knew some of her classmates, Marilyn Weisner, and I remember when they had a special class reunion, and Dee was all excited because she got to lead the tour and show them around the building. I remember that was very special. Dee doing, she went beyond her job, and so we had a USA Leaders, United Students of Aurora Leaders group, as part of youth services, and so we needed a female advisor, and Dee jumped in, and she was all in. And one of the curriculum there was 7 Habits of Highly Effective Teens, and Dee did an excellent job. And one of my favorite pictures is a group photo with Dee in it, with these kids, and it was just a special time. We had students from all the different high schools in Aurora. Another thing that I remember that was very special was the 105th birthday celebration for Zenobio, and she was very active with the Hispanic Heritage Advisory Board. And I remember that I was also on the board at one time when Dee was serving on it, and we started the Wall of Memories, collection of pictures from the 20s and 30s from the boxcar families, and that was a very special thing that we did for the community. And Dee was all in on that too, making sure that it was displayed at different community events. And so with the Cenobio birthday event, it was well attended. I mean, there were so many people there from Aurora. It was just, I was really impressed. Everybody was taken back by the turnout for that. And there was pictures that people dug up out of their, I don't know where they keep pictures, but they dug them out, and there were so many more pictures that were provided and became part of the, also with the Historical Society collection. And I remember Dee, at one time we had to downsize community services, and so we had to do more with less staff. And one of the things that Dee took on was the farmers market, and she was like the Pied Piper, and the vendors, the farmers, they loved Dee. And remember, she made it a special occasion, you know, with music and presentations and speakers and things like that. And it was a special time. Also, another thing that Dee was a part of was the Hispanic Heritage Advisory Board as a member, and then also as an advisor. And she took on with a couple of people the Parade of Nations. But Dee was the long stay there, because she was there at the beginning and the end of it. I think was still doing the last one, participating with that and working with the kids to dress and also carry a flag from a different South American country. So I just wanted to mention that. And there's so many much more I could talk about, but for me, it was a privilege to work alongside Dee and see her in a different way. And she will greatly be missed, and was made a huge contribution to this community.
Thank you to Alderman Barrero. We're going to move on to Alderwoman Garza. Just want to remind you all, for the sake of the meeting time, if we can please stick with our 1 minute. Alderman Garza.
Well, I can say much, but since I know Dee 20 years ago, I know she was very enthusiastic all the time, and anything for the community, she was there all the time, and she put all the enthusiastic and work for everything be perfect. And she looking anyway to look good. And also when we start with the Aurora Hispanic Pioneer Breakfast, she said, Juani, I want to do an exhibition there too. I said, why not? Yes, absolutely, because she was part of the Nila family. And she started collecting pictures and everything, and she put it together, real nice display, and every year she presented in there. And also, so she started with the Desfile de las Banderas, you know, with the flags, with the kids. And kids really love that, and really want to miss her. I hope somebody lead that in the future in Fiestas Patrias, because it was a real nice event, and with the flags, with the kids, and represent every country. So that was very nice for Dee to do all that. So we want to miss her a lot, absolutely.
This could be hard. It's hard to keep it at 1 minute when you're talking about Dee. I met Dee before I became an alderman through a partner, Peter Dimitru, and I just didn't always remember her name back then, except I just knew her as Hello Love, her trademark approach whenever she saw someone, and she pretty much seemed like she cared for everybody. At the end of the day, I don't think there's no higher calling in terms of a career in public service, and to make a change and difference in people's lives and improving the world. But if there was a defined term for that, I guarantee you Dee's photo and name is right next to it, absolutely. As an alderman, I also, the first time I saw her at work was at the farmer's market myself, and you could see that she was a person who would take the extra steps to make something better, even if it meant she had to put in additional time and effort, unceasingly and with a smile. The reality about her was when she was confronted with a challenge here at the city, silence was her power. Her response was to do more, and she will be missed.
So I've run into Dee in a number of different places throughout the city. different events. She's always somewhere. And I think that's very important, because when you do that and you contribute to the community like that, you become a part of the fabric of the community. You can't say that about everybody, but you can say that about Dee. And I think what really struck me, and I hope people pay attention to this, she always was positive and had a smile on her face. That's a rare commodity today. And I hope that everybody that she came in contact with understands that, so they can emulate that, because it just makes everything better. Dee knew that. That's who she was. So we need to take a lesson from somebody like that. Be positive and smile, because she laid the foundation, and it's up to us to continue, because that's a very important thing that she brought to the table. So we're better off with Dee when she was around here with her big smile and positive attitude.
I would just like to add to what Alderman Franco said, is the first time I met her, she literally lights up a room. Her personality, her smile, she literally made whatever event we're at a better event. And whether it was something, with 10 people there or something there with 1,000 people there, I guarantee you she talked to everybody there. And she was just a wonderful lady that literally made me feel, along with everybody else, that you're the most important person there. And she was grateful you to be in that room as well. She went out of her way to help everybody, and just she is the epitome of just be nice and everything's going to be great, because she was such a wonderful, nice lady. Her smile, her charisma, and her charm radiated a room, and she's going to be sorely missed. So.
I think everybody here has touched on it, and I've only met her twice that I can remember. So what I really think is important is that social media is covered with memories of Dee Basille right now, and that's a reflection of the sheer number of people in our community that she touched. Other than that, I just want to wish family condolences. I know this is a challenging time for you. So thank you for sharing part of your evening with us. That's an extension beyond what you should be dealing with right now. Thank you.
I first met Dee when she was working in economic development, and from the first time I ever met Dee until the last time I saw her, she greeted me and everyone the same, with a smile on her face. She was just like the essence of happiness. And in fact, if there's such a thing called the angel of joy in heaven, Dee would be that angel. And she was a great representative for our city, and very positive and very hardworking, and just wanting the best of not only herself, but for others and for Aurora as well. And my condolences to you and the family, and she'll be dearly missed in our community.
So I met Dee as soon as I became an alderman. Like right away, she came and introduced herself. And a lot of times when you're put into these rooms where you don't know a lot of people, it's easy to mix up names and faces, but I would see her everywhere, and she would come up to me and she'd be like, "Hey, Alderman." I'd be like, "Hey," and then she'd be like, "D, it stands for delightful." And ever since then, I never forgot it after that. I never forgot it. So whether it was seeing her at French 75 or running into her at a community event, she always greeted me with a big hug and a smile, told me that she loved my hair, and we just sat there and talked for a few minutes before she inevitably went around the room and did the same thing with everybody else. So I didn't know her very long, but for the time that I did know her, you know what I'm saying, she definitely was a special person for me. So she will be missed, and my condolences for the family.
I may be the crier of the group. I feel very blessed to have shared in just a little tiny slice of Dee's life. I first met her in 2018 when I was running for alderman. I believe, Alderman Franco, I think you introduced me to Dee, if I remember correctly. I didn't know who she was. I didn't know where she worked. All I know is everywhere I went, she was there. And I knew that I had to become her friend. You just couldn't miss, her lively personality and her just genuine, infectious smile, and that unique fashion sense. I mean, she had a great fashion sense like nobody other. She's truly left an unforgettable mark on the city of Aurora and in many of our hearts. And the day she passed, I wrote a little tribute to share from my heart with my friends, and it said, "The good Lord truly got it right when he created Dee. She was a shining light, a friend whose positive energy and radiant smile brightened the lives of everyone she met. Dee lived her life to the fullest, embracing every moment with joy, love, and grace. Her presence brought delight. Her laughter brought warm hearts. and her kindness made the world a better place. Rest in peace, beautiful friend. Your vibrant spirit, your radiant smile will forever hold a place in our hearts. I want to thank her family for sharing your mom, your sister, your love with us. She's truly going to be missed. Thank you so much.
Yesterday I wore my multicolored shirt, my shirt of many colors for Dee. Today I wear my burst of color shirt, very intentional, because she was one of the most colorful people I ever met. A lot of times we get a chance to talk with kids, and I do a little talk with the kids, and we talk about the city of Aurora, that is the second largest city in the state. And most kids don't know that, and the kids would chime up, and they would always be very soft. And I would steal a line from my friend Clayton Muhammad. I would say it loud, say it proud. And every time I said that, I thought of Dee. Dee was the person who said it loud and said it proud, because she loved Aurora. She loved it through and through. Finally, Dee was that person. We get to go to a lot of events, a lot of fundraisers. And at those fundraisers, usually on the dance floor, are a number of women. And early on, I had the opportunity and was chosen by Dee to be the man out on the dance floor. So subsequently, at many events, the music would come up, I would put my head down, and I would feel Dee's eyes gazing on me, beaming toward me, grabbing my arm, taking me out on the dance floor, because that's what she danced. She danced. We are better people because we crossed paths with Dee. Thank you for sharing it with us.
My interactions with Dee were mostly at ribbon cuttings everywhere in Aurora and other events too. Each time I met her, she hugged me so tightly, and I hugged her so tightly because I just felt she's family. And she truly brought so much positivity wherever she went. She brought compassion towards community, and she just showered everyone with love, whoever met her. I also felt that a person who's so full of life would be missed by the community, and as we all saw, so many people commenting on social media, as well as being shocked on the first day of New Year, hearing about her. It was like, what just happened? How could it be that I will never see her? We had plans to go to certain restaurants together, and each time we planned it, it just so happened that either she had to travel or I had something else. So I will really miss that lunch with her. She also wanted me to introduce her to some Indian spices. So she wanted to go to one of the restaurants in Ward 1, Black Pepper. It's going to be tough when I go there without her. She will live in our hearts forever. Her legacy will live in our hearts forever. And we all love her, and we will definitely miss her a lot. Thank you for sharing with her. Thank you.
The mayor takes place to read the proclamation. We're going to invite her family, friends to join him. Let's give a round of applause to Dee's family and friends. Come on down. Come on down. I know she has work colleagues here as well, if anybody wants to join.
You know, my first impression is to say that I read this proclamation with a heavy heart. I know that Dee wouldn't want us to have a heavy heart in her passing. She would want us to celebrate her life and the time that we had with her. And as pointed out, Dee had a number of superpowers. One was to walk in and light up a room with her smile. But she had one that was very special to me, and I'm sure so many people in this room. She had the ability to make you feel loved just by being in the room with you. You know, there were times when I would see Dee, and she would greet me and smile and give me a hug if I hadn't seen her in years, and I only saw her a couple days before. That's just the kind of person she was. She had the ability to change our human spirit because of her goodness and her soul. And as Alderman Bug pointed out, I believe we are all better human beings for having met Dee Basille. So I read this proclamation for Dee Basille Day, April 10th. Whereas on January 1st, a new year, lost one of Aurora's brightest lights, one of our boldest and most golden rays of sunshine, and biggest cheerleaders and champions for all things great about our city. And whereas Dee was born on April 10, 1950 in Aurora, attended St. Nicholas Grade School, graduated from Madonna High School, and received her Bachelor's of Arts degree from Northern Illinois University in 2011 at the age of 61. Whereas Dee served 18 years at City Hall in Aurora in many capacities, where she excelled as an ambassador of Aurora. She served on the board of Aurora Public Library Foundation as a dedicated staff member of the Aurora Regional Chamber of Commerce. Whereas Dee founded Aurora's annual Parade of Nations, and in recognition of her legacy, the Aurora Hispanic Heritage Advisory Board named the annual Dee Basille Award for exemplary leadership in her honor. And whereas Dee volunteered countless hours to dozens of causes, of organizations, events, initiatives that promoted the best of Aurora. If something great was happening, Dee was often there with her customary big smile and warm hug. So now, therefore, I, Mayor Richard Irvin, do hereby recognize Dee's immeasurable impact and influence on the city of Aurora by posthumously proclaiming her birthday, April 10th, as Dee Basille Day in the city of Aurora, and call upon all Aurorans to use this day as a day of service, compassion, and kindness in memory of our beloved Dee. May God bless her soul in heaven as he blessed us with her and blessed her soul while she was here on earth.
We stand and we salute the life and the legacy of a phenomenal woman who impacted us all during her time here on this earth and will continue to impact us even in her passing. We'll do a group photo with the family and the proclamation and the mayor. And if there's anybody in the family who wants to say anything, we'll do a quick picture. All right, everyone. So April 10th, Dee Basille Day, a day of service and kindness here in the city of Aurora as we remember our beloved Dee. Commander, is there anything you want to say? This is her brother, Mike Neal.
The mayor asked me to say a couple of words about my sister. And as I was listening to all the beautiful tributes and from people that I've known for how many years, here, I was thinking that my uncle was the first minority to be hired on the Aurora Police Department in 1956. He served for 10 years. I served here for 29, and my sister for 18. So between the three of us, over 50 years of service to this city that we all love so much. And I still say, I retired in 1999, and the best thing I ever did for this city, I did after I retired. And that was encouraging my sister to come and work for the city. She had spent her whole life working in hospitality, and those of you who have done that know how hard that is to be on your feet forever, right? And so when Dee said, I think I'm done with that, I said, well, you tell me when you want to get a job. And I happen to know the mayor really well, Mayor Stover then, and I said, let me know when you're ready, and I'll see if he has a place for you. She called me about 4 months later and said, I'm ready. And I called up the mayor's office, and of course, he knew Dee already from me, but he said, I think I have the perfect place for her. And it was with Dan. And gratefully from me and for the city, she chose to give the last years of her life here. So thank you.
Thank you to her family. She will certainly be missed. Thank you. You're in our hearts and our prayers. That concludes the mayor's report for tonight.
One more round of applause for the loved ones and the family of Dee Basille, an Aurora icon. Now, folks, we're about to start the regular portion of our business. You feel free to stay if you'd like to, but I want to give you an opportunity to file out if you'd like.
Thank you all.
You're very welcome, sir. All right, let's go on to the next portion of the agenda. Let's go on to public comment. Madam Clerk, do we have any members of the public wishing to offer public comment?
We do, Mr. Mayor.
Will you read the rules of public comment, please?
Pursuant to the Open Meetings Act, all persons shall be permitted an opportunity to address public officials under the rules established and recorded by the council. Under our rules, any person may address the committee of the whole for up to 3 minutes with a maximum of 30 minutes allotted for all public comment. No person other than the timekeeper or the chair for the purpose of maintaining order may interrupt a person recognized for public comment during his or her comments. Members of the committee of the whole shall not engage with nor respond to a speaker during the time set aside for public comment. Staff is directed to follow up with members of the public with respect to any concerns raised during public comment within the scope of the city's authority following the adjournment of this meeting.
Madam Clerk, call the first speaker.
Nina Arme.
Ma'am, you have 3 minutes to speak, beginning now.
Good evening, council members and Aurora residents. It is with great disappointment and disgust that I address the unwarranted harassment and intimidation by Alderman-at-Large John Lash on New Year's Eve. His actions targeted me, my business, and team during the final preparations of our celebratory event at my content studio. On a night meant for unity and welcoming the new year, Mr. Lash, a man whom I've never met, chose instead to engage in behavior unbecoming of an elected official, underscoring his lack of integrity, respect for the hardworking members of our community. Around 6 p.m., my staff alerted me to a bizarre behavior as Mr. Lash was parked outside of my studio taking pictures. When he realized we noticed, he attempted to hide his actions. When I approached him directly, he was evasive, denied taking pictures, and dismissed all questions. His erratic behavior, including driving onto the sidewalk like a drunk driver before returning to the same parking spot, was deeply concerning. Later that evening, in a clear act of targeted harassment, Mr. Lash sent 2 uniformed police officers to my content studio in an attempt to humiliate me in front of my guests by falsely accusing me of illegally selling alcohol, despite never entering the premises to verify his own claims. I fully cooperated with the officers, and it was clear that I was in no violation of the law. And if that wasn't enough, the harassment continued and escalated when a person dressed in all black with a hoodie was spotted outside my studio taking photos, later identified as Sandy Smith, an affiliate of John Lash. She quickly fled when confronted, revealing the deliberate and coordinated nature of this intimidation. Mr. Lash's actions reveal a stunning level of hypocrisy and abuse of power. While calling to defund police and accusing our law enforcement of corruption, he weaponized the very system he criticizes for his own personal gain. Instead of addressing any so-called concerns directly to me, he chose to ignore me and deliberately attack, all while using taxpayer money. His cowardly and calculated actions are nothing short of disgraceful, exposing him as a manipulative figure willing to undermine the very community he was elected to serve. For over 3 years, I have dedicated myself to hosting events that uplift and unite. I have invested my time, creativity, money, and passion into our community. My work reflects the commitment to revitalizing downtown Aurora and creating opportunities for connection and growth. Mr. Lash, I must ask, was I the only business that you targeted on New Year's Eve? Was this truly about constituents, or is it because my content studio, located right next to City Hall, proudly displays campaign signs supporting our Mayor, Richard C. Irving? A true leader guides the community, not attacks it. Your cowardly and weak actions are unacceptable. I call upon the appropriate authorities to investigate this matter thoroughly. Mr. Lash, know that I will not be silenced by you or your so-called constituents. Your personal attack on me is evident, and I will continue to stand for my business and the city that I love. Aurora deserves better, and I'm stronger.
Thank you. Call the next speaker.
Edward Ash.
My time started. Usually you say, go ahead, Mr. Ash.
Mr. Ash, you got 3 minutes to speak.
Oh, okay, thank you very much. Where does the community go for accountability when the public and the mayor of Aurora have abused power, broken the law for personal gain? I have spoken out for 4 years, and you, Richard Irvin, and the Aurora police have targeted me and retaliated against me, charging me with not only false charges, but also unconstitutional charges. The Aurora police have violated my civil rights, June 19, 2024, known as Juneteenth, by denying me to make a police report against other police and others as yourself. I have the body camera footage for that also given to me by FOIA. The Civilian Review Board was supposed to make communities safe and police accountable, but under your authority, there is no accountability, nor have I gotten a response back after 2 years, which means we know that you're trying to hide something. I'm coming today actually to prove that you do not care about the black community, and as I was a victim, you made me out to be a criminal. I spoke out and you targeted me only even more. In the past 8 years of you being the mayor, I have faced 33 years in jail. But I prevailed. I've made it. And I want to let you know that you will not silence me or my experience. I'm not against police. As a matter of fact, I'm looking for the police officer that said that on the scene that I have a right to defend myself. But the APD FOIA blurred his face and also lowered his voice so we could not hear that. So I'm wondering, maybe you or Keith Cross can help me find that police officer so I can thank him and tell him I appreciate him for sticking up for me when others didn't. There's a saying, I am my brother's keeper. But the question is does my brother keep me? Thank you very much. My name is Edward Ash.
Are there any additional speakers, Madam Clerk?
There are not.
All right,
Mr.
let's go
Mayor.
on to the next portion of the agenda. Committee reports. Chairwoman Patty Smith, can you give the Building, Zoning, and Economic Development Committee report, please? Put yourself together. Pull yourself together. Patty Smith, put them glasses on. Read it.
All right. Thank you, Mr. Mayor. The Building, Zoning, and Economic Development Committee meeting scheduled for December 25th on 2024 was canceled due to the fact that it was Christmas Day. That is all my report.
Wow, that's what I'm talking about. Chairman Franco, can you give the Finance Committee report, please?
Yes, Mr. Mayor.
I want you to be as quick as Patty Smith.
Finance Committee was scheduled to meet December 26th. That was canceled due to having meetings prior to that for the holidays.
Was it now?
Yes,
Okay.
it was.
Chairman Mike Seville, can you give the Public Health, Safety, and Transportation Committee report, please?
Yes, it was
Please.
scheduled for Christmas Eve, and we canceled the meeting. So
Is that
there's no
so?
report
Is
this
that right?
time.
I was here on Christmas Eve. Chairman Rod Warman, brother, help us out here. Can you give the Rules Administration Procedure Committee report?
The committee that never sleeps.
I'm sorry. I missed INT. Chairwoman Wani Garza, can you give the Infrastructure and Technology Committee report? I apologize for that.
No problem. INT was canceled also on December 23 for Christmas.
I was giving you a break. That's why I passed you up, so you had to say that. Chairman Rod Warman, can you give the Rules Administration Procedure Committee report, please?
Committee that never sleeps, obviously. So, the Rules Administration and Procedures Committee met on December.
You did meet?
We did,
Okay.
yes.
Oh.
December 17th, 2024, and reviewed the following items.
Go ahead.
The first item, 24-0966. This is, I had been asked to put this item on hold.
All right.
Next item, 24-0974, a resolution appointing 6 members to the Sister Cities Commission.
So moved. I'm sorry, consent.
No, no objection, item going consent.
Next item, 24-0985, a resolution authorizing the appointment of Richard Totis to the Grand Army of Republic Memorial Commission.
Consent.
No objection, item going consent.
Last item on the agenda, 24-0986, a resolution approving the reappointments of David Tellner, Michael Caruso, Joshua Pfeiffer to the Aurora Veterans Advisory Board.
Consent.
With no objections, item going consent.
And that concludes Rules Administration Procedures.
Thank you very much. All right. Well, that concludes our committee reports. Let's go on to new business. Madam Clerk, you read the first item under new business.
25-0001, a resolution authorizing, 1, the assignment of the redevelopment agreement, contractual rights and responsibilities of Frontier Development LLC to 7 South LLC for the redevelopment of property located at 7 South Broadway, approved with Resolution R24-185. 2, a modification of the project timeline set forth therein. And 3, an assignment of collateral from the developer to its lender for construction financing purposes.
Mr. Debo.
David Tebow, Director of Economic Development, Mayor's Office of Economic Development. Just in quick summary, it's a fairly perfunctory request here. We had the right to assign this agreement to another entity, but in discussions with Corporation Counsel, we thought it'd be a good idea to come and make sure you are aware of that. This is very typical to assign an agreement from one entity to another. The key thing to know in an assignment, any assignment, is what are the responsibilities. So the responsibilities that the developer promised you, for instance, his guarantee of his obligations and so on, that continues, even though this is being assigned from one entity to the next. The second issue had to do with modification of the timeline. It's about 2.5 months delayed. I could go into some details, but just in terms of the planning, the zoning, and getting everything done, everything's set to go, and the restaurant should open in June. The third one is the assignment. This is on behalf of the lender, of the collateral assignment to the lender. Again, typically when a lender gets involved, they want to know that they could have a right to lien the property and so on, and that's what the collateral assignment is. But I'm open for any questions that we have.
Questions? Alderman Lash.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. On the so if this deal falls apart or the developer doesn't make payments to the lending institution, then not only could we lose the building, what about Skinny Park? That's kind of part of this deal?
Well, that's a lot of premises. Let's go one by one. So I could answer, but just I need one question at a time.
Oh, sure. Okay, so under this agreement, if the loan is defaulted, could we lose Skinny Park as well as the building?
We're not going to lose Skinny Park because they're not going to own Skinny Park. So the simple one, we won't lose the building. The loan is guaranteed. This is very, very important to understand. The reason, let me just step back for the council. So when you're dealing with a developer as substantial as this developer, they do lend. Sometimes they take loans. Sometimes they put their money in. What we want to know, as fiduciaries for the taxpayers, is are they guaranteeing? Are they personally guaranteeing their obligations? And they are guaranteeing this loan. So whether they end up borrowing $300,000, $700,000, whatever they borrow, and for the purposes here, Alderman, I suggest you assume that they borrow the maximum, because we specifically allowed them to do that, knowing who they are. And that's not unusual. It's their obligation. So when we come to you and we say, let's say on the DAC deal, and we describe the commitment that the developer is making, it's not just the cash that they're putting in, It's what have they signed on? What is their total obligation? And their total obligation in this deal is the $837,000. So they are not going to default on this loan, and if they do, they're obligated to pay that money. So we really don't have any risk. And as I said, this is perfunctory.
And then the other question I had about the skating park redesign targeting between September 2024, this is on the amended timeline. It says per city, the construction. Are we putting additional money into that construction
No,
of that?
it's just in terms of where the seating is going to be. I mean, how we're going to figure that out. It just took some time to make sure that it's right.
Okay, so we're not committing to any other
No.
additional finances. Thank you very much, Mr. Mayor.
Any other questions? And let me just, we're going to put this on consent with no objection, but let me just say, that, when we have a new restaurateur coming into the city of Aurora, the first question we ask shouldn't be if and when you default. The question we should ask is how can we ensure and make you be successful so you flourish in Aurora and we in turn flourish as a city with new development coming in. And although I understand the negativity and the need to ask those questions, as pointed out earlier, if the true leadership says, what can we do to make sure they don't default? And I think that's what we're going to do in this administration and where you're going with economic development, Mayor's Office of Economic Development. Am I correct?
And I agree, Mr. Mayor. And really, our job has always been to protect the taxpayers of this city. It's easy to do a deal, but how do you do a deal that balances the risks and the rewards of this deal? We made sure that when the developer said that he might take a loan, we said we want to make sure that you're guaranteeing that loan, that you're standing behind it. So whether you decide to go to the bank to get a loan or put your money in, you want to sell some stuff, that's up to you. Sell some real estate, that's up to you how you liquefy. Our job is to make sure that the deal gets done and gets run. And I will say what the mayor's saying is correct, because it is important to have positive momentum. And I think all these questions are important. And the reason that we will always be able to answer a question is we do our due diligence and we know what we're talking about.
All right. No objections. A matter of going consent. Next item. All right. That was under new business. So there is no more items under new business. Staff report, update on business registration application.
Dr. Kenneth Campbell, Mayor's Office of Economic Development.
And John Curley, Chief Development Services Officer for the City of Aurora.
Good evening, Mayor, Mayor Irving, members of the City Council, city staff, ladies and gentlemen. It's with great enthusiasm and pleasure that we present a brief update of the new business registration process for the City of Aurora. This has been a 9-month collaboration across central and several departments citywide. This process represents a pivotal moment in the ongoing economic development and evolution of our city, particularly around improving the communication with businesses all over the city and taking a proactive approach in increasing the visibility of our business services and products they offer. Before we begin, I would kindly request a moment of grace from the mayor, the city council members, as Mr. John Curley provides us with some context of putting the historical significance of the current business registration system into perspective.
Yeah, thanks, Mayor and Council, for the opportunity to present this kind of update. You'll recall that we were here 4 or 5 years ago discussing business registrations just before and into the pandemic. We launched the business registration program, and if you remember, there were collaborations of many departments involved in setting up a program that had been attempted, I want to say, 5 times before we finally created it in ordinance. And we did experience some challenges, so I wanted to talk about those challenges and how we tried to address those challenges and make the program much more streamlined and user-friendly than we had achieved a few years back. The challenges created some low utilization rates, caused some concerns, and caused us to step back and evaluate the questions in particular that we're asking. So the system that we set up initially was just developed as a catch-all for emergency responder questions. We're still asking emergency responder questions, but far fewer, and I'll get into that in a further slide. But ultimately, what was happening was we had 60-plus specific questions for our business registrants, and that length of answering caused timeouts. Some of our questions were very specific, maybe not known off the top of someone's head. And we stepped back and reached back out to all the stakeholders involved in the program to actually whittle it down to essentially what we could live with for a program and still have a functioning program. So I'm happy to say that with the efforts we've made some great improvements. We're happy to talk about those today. That's a little bit of history of kind of why we kind of circled back and worked on the program.
So we started with a pilot, and that pilot, being new to the city, I want to say special thanks to Ms. Vaught and we presented to the RAP Committee, Rules Administration and Procedure Committee, for approval. So thank you for that. And our goal in this pilot was to really simplify and streamline the process, as Mr. Curley spoke of, really maximizing local minority participation, increasing the utilizations where we've seen that utilization drop off. In addition, enhance the presence and provide more information and education to businesses, as well as assist them with new resources and services available to businesses. So I want to say special thanks to Chris Minnick for his department for allowing me to reach out to businesses here in the chambers. And with the strengthening of our city partnership with new Regional Economic Council, we were able to do much more in terms of getting information out. So one of my most favorite, I think, attribute for this particular pilot is really taking it from a database perspective and placing a GIS and business analytic technology to this. And that allows us to create what we call KPI metrics and GIS measures. So we're able to know where businesses are, what services they provide, what products they offer, to better drive footsteps to their door and their business. So one of the things we did is we came up with a flyer to help us connect with the businesses here in Aurora. We developed a QR code, so special thanks to Mike Pegas and his department, our CIO, Chief Information Officer, and Mr. Curley and his department, really educating me on the Track It database. And so as a business register, so they can use this QR code, they are registered, they create a login password. So they can go in and change any information and update any information they want to without having to have another person assist them with that. Once they register, they're given an automatic or sent an automatic email. That email thanks them on behalf of the mayor. And then we also have a survey link to have a feedback. So we're able to get some feedback on their experience with this new process. And then all of that information goes into what we call Track It database. And it's utilized by many of our departments here in the city of Aurora. And this is an example of that survey. So we will be monitoring this survey to see how we can better improve what we do so we can be better partnerships with our businesses here in Aurora. So I'll turn it over to Mr. Curley.
Yeah, so as Dr. Campbell mentioned, I just want to touch on some of the key benefits of the program and some of the improvements we've made. The registration program, again, if you recall, the part of the basis for its inception or the need of it was having a renewing database for contact information for our emergency responders. These discussions all happened after the incident at Pratt, if you recall, when we started re-engaging this discussion at the council level. And this has been the only program we've had that has a refreshing component of the data from our business community, and it's all online without city staff. So we're leveraging that functionality of the system that we had, and then streamlining the system as well, and sharing the information automatically. We're using the system to provide valuable resources in addition to things we hadn't thought of before. I'll touch on that in another slide, but providing guidance to our business community on grant opportunities, how to do business with the city, and updates and general information on things that are happening at the city that might affect our business community. On the next slide there. Again, the previous version of the registration process contained 61 detailed questions. We had those timeout issues that were partly a result of those detailed questions. Some of those questions, just as an example, might have been square footage of your facility, insurance-related questions that our fire department was interested in, but may not be available to somebody just filling out a survey on their phone. They have to go back and find some records, come back to this, and we were having timeout and frustration issues, in addition to that landlord information. So within this past year, we've streamlined, figured out exactly what questions that all of our emergency responders and our business-centric divisions and departments could use, and we've whittled it down to only 15 specific questions now, with the key emergency responder questions. And then, again, the most important thing for the emergency responders is having an annually refreshed database of contacts and businesses that are here. So any of us that are responsible for different things throughout all of our service groups in the city knows who's there, knows how to get in touch with them. So if I need to ask them more specific questions, I have the ability to do it more readily now because I know who they are and I know who they are. I know who they are and how to contact them, and if that's changed in the last 12 months, I have a better chance of knowing it through this system than relying on what we've lived with in the past. That satisfaction survey, although not a ton of survey takers so far, the survey results have been very positive to date. The other things that I wanted to touch on in this pilot program is we've increased the number of applicants more than anyone we've had in the past, even though we haven't done a very large push of outreach until we're basically prepared to start doing that now with all the changes we've made. But the other significant thing we wanted to highlight is the great increase on MWBE business entities that we've gotten to register in this past year. You can see that's the line versus the bar chart there. It's much more, it's getting closer to being representative of our business community here in the city of Aurora. We're asking specific questions about this and can report that information and share it with key stakeholders as well. So we're happy to see that improvement happening, and we're going to try and ensure that that continues. The other thing that we touched on is a greater sharing of this data with departments throughout the city. As we mentioned, the emergency responders are getting information on a monthly basis. We'll have the ability to share this information with our new Regional Economic Development Alliance. If anyone is interested in becoming a vendor with the City of Aurora, we're asking them questions during the survey, and that information, for anyone that says yes, is getting back to our purchasing department. Same thing's true for any marketing opportunities that we have. If they're interested, we get that back to our marketing group. There's a bunch of information we're sharing with our DEI division and about the diversity of our business entities and information on whether or not they are already certified through the state or some other federal means. They're going to share information on how to help those business entities become certified if it might make them qualify for more grants, as an example. And then obviously sharing it through the economic development means that we have directly within our department. And there's a little bit more information there about information on advertising and vendorship interest there in the lower left.
So as we continue, when we have a database, one of the most important things is how do we make that database livable for our businesses? Using a GIS component to this, and this is just a draft, but as businesses register and those who do not opt out, they can pop into this GIS maps. And when we look at it from an economic development perspective, if I'm a developer coming in, I really want to know what products and services are there. If I'm looking at having employees live in a particular city, I want to know what that city offers. This gives us an opportunity to see that. And we're going to talk a little bit about, at the end of the slide, where we go from here to help bring value to our businesses. So this is just a draft, but this is, again, special thanks to our Chief Information Officer, Mike Pegas, and his department, doing an outstanding job with this. So as a business register, their information goes from database from one-dimensional to almost 10-dimensional using a GIS mapping. And so this is the data analytics where we're able to not just take the information in and store it in a database, but actually make it live. We can make decisions based upon what we gather from the businesses. And then lastly, our final steps there, I just want to say special thanks to a lot of departments. Again, as we embark on the next chapter of this process, our goal in 2025 is to increase from where we're at now to 10,000 plus businesses register in 2025. I want to extend our deepest gratitude to all those who contribute, their expertise and passion, dedication to this transformational business initiative across citywide departments. So this was truly a collaborative effort, and I just want to say thank you. And thank you, Mayor. That concludes our presentation.
Thank you, gentlemen.
Any other question?
Questions, yeah, Alderman Franco.
So, is this a mandatory program for businesses? And the reason I ask that is because we've talked about this, and you brought up in here about Pratt, the public safety component. So I would have thought it would be, but I can't remember when we started this going forward if they have to register at some point in time.
Yeah, if you recall, the ordinance that we passed many years ago now is a mandatory registration program. The registration is a free registration. So it is, by ordinance, it's a mandatory requirement to register and then renew your registration annually at the first of every year. As the last slide showed, there are some modifications that are being thought through, and I think maybe even starting in through legislative process now as well. But the program has been thought, the inception of the program was a mandatory program, and going forward, I believe our intention is to keep it a mandatory program still. And again, the underlying reason for that is the annual renewing of the contact information for our emergency responders primarily.
Thank you.
Mr. Mayor.
Alderman Smith.
Thank you. I have a couple of questions. One, and I'm sorry, it may have been taken out of context, but I believe you said if they don't opt out. What did that mean? Because we're just saying it's mandatory. If they don't opt out of what?
Well, I think we want to have a process that if businesses don't want their information shared on our GIS mapping portion or our data analytics, then they can opt out of that.
But they still have to fill out the form.
Correct.
Is that correct?
Correct.
Okay,
Yeah.
I'm interchanged too. Okay. It's great to see that we're making some progress here. This is a good thing. We've been talking about it a while. What are you doing differently to entice? I mean, I see, half in the amount of questions, and I'm sure the questions are a lot easier to answer now. What are we doing to entice people to do this? How are we getting them? What's the process that's being used right now to get them to do this?
Well, we're ready to do a much broader marketing push on the whole program than we have. We had to work through, there was not only the question issues that we had some stability issues with the portal that was being leveraged here to use as well. So we went through a really pretty substantive stress test in August and September of last year through a different licensing program that we have. That did well, much better than it had in the past, and we continue to hone down the question. So system performance plus a simpler and faster response from the registrants has already proved to be a friendlier and easier to complete and fully complete the process for the registrants.
Plus some marketing.
Yeah,
Okay.
and increase, we're ready to start doing marketing now.
And are we handling new businesses any differently to make sure that they don't start up and now they're gone and we've lost them? Are we doing anything different there?
Yes, let me go back to your previous question. Another thing that we're doing is we're creating a business registration website. What you've seen before you was the IT, GIS, and data analytics. What you will see in the future is actually a website with content and videos and instructions. And so we will be updating that to keep businesses informed of what's happening in Aurora, what's coming up. Again, it's really bringing that value option to businesses who want to be part of this registration. What are we doing? It's a great question. I can give you an example. Being in economic development, as we see development happening, cranes in the air, as the mayor states, businesses coming to Aurora, they want to know what we have to offer. We can look at, for example, we had in this pilot, we had about 400 and so businesses. One of the developers, and we can use the casino as that, where they asked for a niche of businesses, and we were able to send that over. So it's a way to market businesses that may not have the funding to do that kind of marketing. And it's another way of really us being more communication, more transparent to these businesses, knowing that they have a partnership at City Hall and really values their services and products.
So I'm almost done. I'm full of great questions.
please.
I know you
I
said some
love
good questions.
questions.
I know Ms. Volt said today that we are not charging businesses to participate in this, but it's being left open. I do a little concerned about charging businesses only because that may keep them from doing it. So why are we keeping that? Is it an open-ended question there, or is it just not in there?
The current ordinance indicates that there is no charge. So this body here will decide if it ever gets changed.
Okay, good. And then my last, go ahead. I have one
Yes,
more question.
and also, we have to have an opportunity to really educate our businesses as to what we're doing. We have to be transparent. They have to know that they can pick up a phone or send an email, and there's someone else on that receiving line who can answer that question. So it takes time, and I think in this process for 2025, that's what we're going to be doing. As Mr. Curley mentioned, we're going to be releasing this dashboard at some point to the public so they can see it. And hopefully a lot of the marketing campaigns that we'll be working with will get to their doorstep. So.
And then my last question is, I did see the screen where you talked about sharing information. And I didn't catch it quite all the way. Is the sharing information only being shared within the city, so we're not sharing their information anywhere else?
It's currently internally. We have gone some of the dashboards that were shown with the map and the darker, and this one here. Those are going through a system that we have that we've been using with our open portal process already. So we already have data analytics, asking privacy questions and everything else that you might imagine. We've only really touched on the internal sharing so far, and the external one's going to go through a larger level of scrutiny. And that question is actually what Dr. Campbell was referring to with respect to the opt-out.
Okay, yeah,
Is
because
whether or
that's a
not
big deal when you
someone
start saying
desires
yeah.
that the public even knows they
Yes,
exist for some
yes,
reason.
Yeah, okay. That's all the questions I have. Thank you guys for working on this. This is
My
good to see
pleasure.
this moving forward.
Thank you.
Any other questions from the council?
Alderman Lash. Thank you, Mr. Mayor. I'll try and keep it quick. Are there any other communities in the region or other parts of the United States that have a mandatory business registration that we can model ours after?
Those analyses were happening back when this ordinance was passed in the first place, and the answer is yes. I know there's a business registration in Elgin. There's a business, I'm trying to remember all, I haven't looked at that data in several years, so. But yes, there are many communities that have business registrations and or licenses. The unusual thing about our ordinance would be that it's free, actually, to be honest, when you compare it to the communities that require them.
And would the mandatory component also apply to home-based businesses?
Currently, the ordinance excludes home-based businesses in the ordinance.
Thank you.
Any other questions? There being none, thank you very much, gentlemen. Let's give a round of applause for keeping us moving here in the city of Aurora with our business registration. We appreciate it and look forward to the continued work you're going to be doing on that. All right, that concludes our staff report. We are in need of a I'm sorry, this is, I'm sorry, we're not doing this today. It's going to be next time, closed session. All right, well then, in
Motion
that
to
case,
adjourn.
there is no more business coming for the city. There's been a motion by Alderman Smith, second by Alderman Franco. All in favor?
Aye.
This meeting is hereby adjourned.